Welcome to the next perfect step. I'm Lori Tremblay.
And I'm Kim McStay.
Well, there's a lot of buzz around sound and vibration and healing, and today's guest, Craig Goldberg, is going to talk about that. He has a company in Harmony, and he's the CEO, but he's a great guy, just knows a lot about sound and healing and spirituality. So welcome, Craig.
Honored to be here. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Lori. Let's make some magic.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So how did you get started with your interest in sound healing and sound and vibration?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think by just being a human and needing it, universe was kind of like, here, you should try this, and I did. So about 2012, my wife got sick, and we just couldn't figure out what was wrong with her, doc after doc, and it kind of led to the beginning of my journey into sound therapy and understanding the power of frequency and sound. My chased down modern medicine to try and figure out what was wrong, test after test, doc after doc, and nobody really knew what was wrong or gave us a definitive, like, it's this. And through our own research, we figured out it had to do with food she was consuming, mainly gluten, which we removed from her diet, and all of her symptoms went away mysteriously in 72 hours. And my wife and I, over the course of the next 6 to 8 months, became enamored with understanding the human body, how it operates, what inputs it needs, and what could be toxic to the human experience. And we began to focus on what you put in your mouth, what you put on your skin, and what you keep in the air around you. These kind of three main environments that govern kind of how we as a human being interact in this 3D world. And we began to really question ingredients and get a better understanding of what created more toxic load for the human body, and of course how it released that toxic load and detoxed the body. And we got really into kind of the health and wellness aspects of how we live, how the body is kind of optimized. And we began traveling and teaching about the power of essential oils. And we were doing these yoga retreats, conferences, trade shows, and many of them had sound therapists that were there. Many of them had these acoustic instruments, the bells, the chimes, the didgeridoo, handpans, these incredible musicians that played these acoustic frequency instruments. And you would lay down in front of it, right? This was 2012, 2013, 2014. Now, of course, I think this is more mainstream and better understood. But back then, yoga studios weren't doing sound therapy, and that these sound baths didn't exist. Certainly not as widespread as they are today. Back then, I think the general population wasn't as focused on ingredients, and the conversation that we're having now, 20 years later, which is just mind-boggling. And I would gravitate to these musicians and these acoustic instruments, and I didn't know why I felt fantastic, but I knew that I felt fantastic, right? Anecdotally and in my own perception of my reality, I knew this was good and I want more. And a few years after that, it was October of 2016, I got a phone call from my now business partner, who I had been friends with for years before. And the universe knocked a couple times. It wasn't just Dom reaching out to me. It was a couple of other people introducing me and saying, hey, you got to go check out what Dom's working on right now. And it was the In Harmony Sound Lounge. Very similar tech, but not quite this design to what's sitting behind me. It was the In Harmony Sound Lounge in its original design. And I laid down, and it was basically sound therapy on tap. You push play on a device, and music begins to be played through this machine while you lay on it. And you put on the headphones, and I had a very similar experience to that of which I did laying in front of these incredible musicians with these acoustic instruments. And I fell in love. I was hooked. I bought one. I asked them if they needed any help. They said, absolutely, we need help. And that kind of began November of 2016, we shipped our first handful of sound lounges. And since then, I have been just completely enamored and immersed in the world of what's called vibroacoustic therapy, vibration, acoustic sound. So we're talking about vibration and sound therapy. And that basically is the study of sound and frequency and its impact on our physiology. And Harmony is largely a leader in that industry. And I speak and travel and share knowledge about the nervous system and the impact of sound and frequency on the nervous system. But of course, it goes much wider than that, as I have a background in nutrition, diet, overall health and wellness optimization, that sort of thing. And I think a little bit of knowledge goes a long way. And when you start to think about how your body interacts with the world around it and how to manage and take an active role in managing your human experience, you start to realize that you have a ton of tools around. And we've, of course, watched this entire industry blossom around us over the last decade. And I think today more and more people are taking their own health and wellness into their own hands, using and working with the medical community to better understand exactly what's happening. Of course, now you have ChatGPT, right? We have all these tools beyond Google and YouTube, which is really what it was back then, is who's making these videos to talk about this. And now we have an opportunity to dive down rabbit hole after rabbit hole to understand how the human body operates, have it explained to us in a way that we can understand it, and therefore make changes and take an active role in managing this human experience. So yeah, grateful to be here and grateful for the history of how I got into it.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this conversation because I really, I'm learning more and more about frequency and how that actually affects like everything. And it's really the way the whole universe is run. And that information was either hidden or whatever it was, but now it's coming up, and it's so exciting to me that people are really starting to understand it better. There's scientific reasons why, or proof now why it works and how it works. And one question I wanted to ask you was, with your wife, is she okay now? Did you use the frequency? Did she use the
Yeah.
frequency bed?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And my family uses it on a regular basis. My parents just moved into my house July of last year. My parents are on it. They're in their 70s. My daughter, a 6-year-old daughter, she's been on it since she's 1 week old. My wife uses it on a
Wow.
regular basis. I use it on a regular basis. So yeah, it's not just sound at this point and vibration. It's also pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, hyperbaric, uh, red light therapy. I mean, there's so many other things that we now understand. I just got back from Beyond Biohacking Conference in Austin, Dave Asprey's event, and 150 people were there presenting their technology, right? 150 vendors were demoing their technology. And the power of sound, light, and frequency, it to your point, it's everything. And I think it's easy to make a blanket statement like that, to say like vibration is everything. But I also think it's really important to define what that means. And there are many different ways to define that. The easiest way that I can think about it is two different ways. The first is thinking back to 7th grade chemistry, right? Protons, neutrons, and electrons, right? That's before we even get into the quantum field and like quantum physics, which is a whole other topic. But if you just think back to protons, neutrons, and electrons, you've got electrons that are spinning around, and of course the periodic table. And we don't have, this isn't a science lesson, but just thinking about at a cellular level or even at an atomic level, everything is moving and vibrating, attracting and repelling, right? Protons, neutrons, right? If you remember the relationship they have. So quite literally, everything around you is vibrating. I know it looks solid. The microphone looks solid. I appear solid, but that is simply a perception of your reality. And at an atomic level, and of course, at a quantum level, everything is vibrating. Everything is moving. And I think that's really important. The second way I think is a little bit more human and perceptual, and that is your body is like a big antenna. It's the easiest way to explain it, right? And it's easy when you start thinking about energy medicine and auric field, and right, there's a lot of different deep dives that we can do. And I know you've covered some of this. Your body is a big antenna, and you are constantly coming into and out of what's called harmonic resonance. Harmonic resonance is nothing more than coming into harmony with those that are around you. So frequencies that you're presented with, you then vibrate at that frequency. And that can be thoughts, that can be physical people, it can be electricity or electromagnetic energy, it can be sound, it can be vibration. There's a multitude of different frequencies that we're presented with. And from my perspective, you're either taking an active role in understanding what frequencies you're being presented with, or you aren't. And if you aren't, then you're simply victim to whatever your surroundings are. And as I sit in this beautiful home with 72-degree air conditioning blowing, it's currently, oh gosh, 82 degrees and climbing outside my home in Vegas. Even running through the walls, there's electricity. The lights, the computers, there's electromagnetic energy. And I'm not an EMF alarmist. That's not my deal. And we can certainly have a conversation about that. But your body is constantly coming into and out of harmonic resonance on a regular basis with the frequencies that it's presented to, most of which you have no idea. You have no idea how somebody else is feeling. You can get a read on it, but you have no idea if the electricity in your house is dirty or if it's tuned. But that's a 60 hertz frequency here in the United States. So I think once you start to better understand just how sensitive every single human is, you're either aware of it and it's in your awareness, or you aren't, and that's okay. But just because you're not aware of it doesn't mean it's not happening. And to your point, we have a ton of scientifically validated biometric data points that we can look at today that we just didn't have 10, 12 years ago. I have an EMF reader that I travel with. Right. So you can totally see magnetic fields and RF fields, radioactive fields. So there's, I think, a lot of opportunity now for us to take that active role in managing our human experience in a much different way. And it's conversations like this that I think open people up to really learning and understanding and knowing it. And I like taking these complex topics and simplifying them so that they can be easily understood. And then of course you can learn and build from there.
Thank you so much for that enlightenment. We have a mutual friend, Gary, who does crystal sound bowls, and he went to Egypt a few years ago, and he was telling us about the fact that he went into some sound caves there in Egypt where they reverberated the sound and the voice, and it was used for healing, these sound caves, these sound rooms in the pyramids. And so I just marvel at the history and the knowledge that the ancient people had about this topic that was lost and is coming back now today through science and awareness, as you said. People are becoming it's more mainstream, and people are participating more in these sound therapies. So I think that's a wonderful thing. And what you're doing is great too.
Laura, you nailed it. So look, the oldest vibratory tool and instrument on the planet is this right here.
Mm-hmm.
Your larynx and your throat box. And human beings have been chanting and dancing and screaming and humming and toning for the millennia, right? And if you're not familiar with what it feels like just to hum to yourself, which vibrates your upper torso very nicely, I might add, the deepest that you can go. And it's obviously different for men and women. It's different for every human. You begin to realize how calming and comforting it can be. I had grandparents that used to hum and hold me when I was a kid. And it's so comforting and relaxing and calming. And what you may not realize is that just being around somebody with a deep voice, or being around somebody who hums or sings or has that angelic voice that you just can't stop listening to. Or now we have obviously recorded music, and you can turn on Spotify and get a decent speaker, right, that has a nice low end response and enjoy those deep bass tones. I listen to Franco Hecki, his artist playlist on Spotify on a regular basis. It's my morning jam to get things going, and it's all what people would call spiritual, or at least I would call spiritual music. But it's mantras and him toning and singing. He has a beautiful voice. It's something that we can really enjoy and have been for millennia. Now we just have a better understanding and different tools that can help measure that biochemical and metabolic response in the body.
Well, even cats, with the
Yes.
purring, the 9 lives,
40
I think
hertz.
that's what it came
We're
from,
between 20 and 50 hertz, but on average, it's
Is
about
that
40
what?
hertz.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And, I've had cats that have helped me with certain, it's like they know where to go and they just purr and they lay on you and
Exactly.
purr. And it's like you just feel yourself healing. It's pretty
I have a,
wild.
I have a little doggy. His name is Zion, and he's laying on the floor behind me. And look, there's all sorts of science and research coming out now on dogs, and because I have a dog, I don't have a cat. Not a cat person, nothing wrong with it. I was around cats yesterday. Brilliant. I'm just a dog guy. Uh, and licking, right? What they're doing to actually sense your nervous system. When their tongue touches your body, they're actually reading your nervous system. There's some really interesting science on that. And of
Wow.
course, cats purring and their ability to help you heal. So again, if my daughter just broke her arm, she's running around with a dislocated fracture of her lower arm. Cast comes off in 10 days. She's 6. My dog lays on her and just licks her upper arm. Right.
Oh,
And these cats that
wow.
we were at yesterday, they just attracted to her and started purring. And she was like, Daddy, Daddy, the cats are purring on me. Like, it was the most adorable thing ever because they just have this innate sense. They just
I
know, they
do.
recognize. They didn't see that it was a cast. They just knew based on her nervous system that she had stuff going on and they were attracted to her. And they're just, it's just awesome. It's fantastic.
That is. It really is. Oh. Yeah, and the cats that can detect like when somebody's passing away at an
Oh,
old
yeah.
folk home and stuff, and they go over
Yeah.
and spend that time with, I mean, it just, yeah, it's one of those things that you want to question it, but you're better off just accepting it because it's just beautiful,
We understand it, right? I mean, anybody who's an animal owner, any animal, right? They are highly intuitive. They have senses that are heightened in ways that we can only imagine.
Mhm.
It's interesting even as you start to shape that conversation back towards consciousness and the human experience in this world that we live in. We are perceiving this world around us through our 5 senses. Those 5 senses are the eyes and ears, quite literally and figuratively, of your nervous system. And we know that different animals have different frequencies that they can see, hear, and feel that we as humans cannot. The human ear activates between 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz. The human eye has a visible light spectrum. We can't see ultraviolet. We can't see infrared. But we know that there are other animals that can. And now, of course, to our point before, we have tools that can measure infrared and ultraviolet. And obviously, lights that can produce this spectrum, even though we can't see it. Think of like a black light, how it reflects off. We don't see that bright light, but white sure does. So we have knowledge and understanding that eagles, for example, can see ultraviolet. They can see their prey's urine, right, from a mountainside, 20,000 feet up, whatever, right? Like, so we understand that this reality is simply governed by the physical constraints of our 5 senses, what we can hear, what we can see, what we can smell, what we can taste, what we can feel. And that to me is I mean, when you start to think about consciousness and what's actually happening and what this reality actually is, and which is a totally different conversation as well. One of the ways that I think about that is through the eyes of various animals that can see, hear, feel, touch, taste different things than we can, and how this reality is simply a perception of the tools that we have to perceive it. And of course, that's growing every single day with more and more technology that gets developed to allow us to see infrared, to allow us to see at night, to allow us to see thermal imaging. So it's really cool.
Mm.
And also nowadays, people are becoming aware of their extra senses that we have been kind of trained out of, as a child, like don't daydream, don't, we have those tools that are natural to us that are also complementary to perceiving the world around us.
Yes, absolutely. Well, look, look, I have a 6-year-old. This is actually a very relative conversation for me because the last thing that I want to do is curb her enthusiasm around life and imagination. And she actually just got a magic set. I want magic, magic, magic. And I'm like, Harmony, My daughter's name's Harmony. Harmony, the magic is in you. Like, it's not the wand that you're so excited arrives tomorrow. It's the magic is in you. Of course, these are tricks and it's sleight of hand, and it's totally different than the witchcraft and the sorcerousness that we try and embody in her. But it's that imagination. And you're right. And look, I think it's different generation to generation. My parents live here. I'm lucky enough to know 3 out of my 4 grandparents really well. It was a different time. They've since now all passed, but growing up in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, let me be clear, it was a different time. The world was at a different consciousness level.
Yeah.
We were focused on different things. Times were very tough. Money was not the same. Inflation was way different. I think my grandfather was working off of like 50 cents a day. Is how he would come home to his family and be really excited about that on the Lower East Side of Manhattan in the 1960s, 50s. It's a different time in a lot of different ways, at a different knowledge base, at a different consciousness. And to your point, I think kids today, especially with parents like myself and my wife, which is really all I can talk to, and of course our friend group, these star children that are coming in, they're staying connected to source energy. They have a different perspective that they can teach us every single day. My daughter at 6 years old, man, she says some things and I'm like, what did you, I'll look at my wife and be like, what did you just say? Like, I'm blown away. I don't know that I was talking that way at 6. I don't even know if I was talking that way at 26. So anyway, it's very interesting when you start to look at how things have changed over time. And to your point, yes, we have different leaders, we have different education, we have different tools. And look, a lot of what was ostracized or pushed away or condemned or back in the day is now given a space where it can grow, blossom, bloom, and be taught, of course, now through podcasts and long form content, short form content, and social media. If that's information that you're interested in, all you have to do is adjust your social media algorithm and you'll be presented with hundreds of, if not thousands of people that will teach you about witchcraft and sorcery and all the good things. Not in Salem anymore.
That's where she used to live.
I did.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah, we're both in New Hampshire now. So Kim
One
has
of my
a beautiful
favorite states. One of my favorite states. It's
Is there?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh my
I
goodness.
agree. Yeah,
I grew up on Long Island, and my wife and I lived full time in a motorhome for 2 years, traveling around the country.
Oh,
And I dropped her off in New York so she could work, and I had to get out of the big cities, so I just drove north. And she's like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I think I'm gonna go to New Hampshire. I'll just find a campground somewhere that's green, lush, and beautiful." Oh, one of my favorite states of the union.
Yeah, and I'm really lucky because I live out in the middle of nowhere with my horses and my dogs, and it's just heaven. I pinch myself every morning. It's beautiful around here. Although Montana, I wouldn't mind living there too. That's one of my favorites.
You know what? Anywhere in the north that's far away from the big cities where you actually get nature, animals, 4 seasons. I'm in Vegas. I don't get 4 seasons here unless I drive to snow. So I feel that. But yeah, it's look, there's a lot of nooks and crannies in this country that are absolutely spectacular, and traveling by car or RV is it's a phenomenal way to see it all. And I feel very blessed and very lucky to have had that opportunity to do that. And we still have a couple of RVs and we still travel regularly, and
that's
really
great.
something. It's really something special.
That's great. You get to meet a lot of people around the country. Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, look, you get to live in the now and be present. There's nothing like living in an RV or traveling on the road that keeps you very much focused on the now and the present, right? You have weather, you have road conditions, you have your itinerary, you have time, you have food and gas to think about, like all these different things that just keep you hyper focused on on what's happening immediately in front of you and what's next. And I just love the planning aspect. And yeah, it's really brilliant. Somebody told me that once their wheels I travel a lot for work, obviously, speaking engagements, events, trade shows. Um, somebody told me, and I agree with them, and I've adopted this practice, and that is once I'm wheels up to the airport, I am no longer on a timetable or a schedule. Obviously, you got flight times and that sort of thing, but like they give themselves enough time to be at the airport early. None of this like flight takes off at 11 and boards at 10:30. I'm going to be there at 10:15. No, no, no. I'm going to get there at 9:15 and just enjoy the airport and enjoy the resources there and the people and give myself plenty of time uh, to just fall into the flow of that particular trip without getting worked up and stressed out and anxious about running late or there's a line and I'll tell you, since I've done that, there's been no lines. There's been no stress. My flights are on time. It's really remarkable. Like, I don't know how the energy works or how that works quite yet, but like, since I've adopted this practice, I'm early. My flights are on time. My seats get upgraded. Like, it's just this remarkable shift in energy that has been beautiful and welcomed and wonderful.
That's great. That's a great way to look at it too, because there's a lot to see at an airport. If you just sit and
Yeah,
absorb and observe, it's great.
totally. Look, they all have art, now they all have waterfalls and usually we just rush right past it. They for the most part they have now local food, local vendors, right? It's overpriced and it's expensive, and yes, I get all that. But there's no short opportunity to connect, and I've met incredible people, and
Hmm.
I've been open to like, oh, I don't know. Look, sometimes I'm taking phone calls, sometimes I'm working on my laptop. But there's definitely things to be done while I'm there. I'm not just sitting there waiting to connect with somebody, but it's really changed my philosophy on travel. And I have taken that into, there's always a rush to get out of the house. There's always a rush to pack and to pull everything together. That happens. But once I'm wheels up, I make sure I give myself enough time. I'm early and I kind of drift into this flow of travel that's been really nice.
That's great.
So when you do go on your business trips, does your bed go with you everywhere? Or how do you?
It can. It can. Our zero gravity, which is behind me, ships in one piece.
Yeah.
It's actually huge. It's a big undertaking. That travels by truck or car. I've had a moving service pick it up. I've put it in the back of my pickup truck to take it to events here in Vegas and locally. I'm very fortunate in that we have our technology all over the world. 950 affiliates around the world. I think right now, let's see, we should probably look that up. It's been a minute. Um, and I'm very fortunate that we have technology all over the place. 950. Yeah, wow, that's awesome. Um,
Mhm.
I'm very fortunate that we have technology all over the place. So we just did an event in Austin. Um, my director of harmonics, who makes all of our music, lives in Austin. He's got a bunch of our technology. Paul and Brooke, who head up our AI team, they have our sound lounge. My innovations group happens to be in Austin, right? So once I realized that I was going out there and I had an event, I just reached out to a couple friends and I said, hey, would you be interested in coming to this event? Would you be interested in a ticket? Can I borrow the technology? And I just rent the car, pick it up, and then return it, in the
Oh,
same
that's
condition
great.
that it was. So yeah, very, very fortunate on that front. Most of these events are happening in large cities, and we have an affiliate group that has and is ready, willing, and able to share the technology and participate in any way that they can. That said, I have also flown with it. It goes underneath the plane without issue. The Sound Lounge 1, the Practitioner 2, these are great models to be traveling with. The Practitioner 2 is no bigger than a massage table. The Sound Lounge 1 is definitely a little bigger, but just wrap it in a blanket, cinch it down. It's all foam, except for the transducers and the wiring. It travels great. So yeah, very fortunate in that it makes it a little more difficult to move, but you can totally do that. And I don't go many places without it. Um, I mean, I'm such a proponent of this technology, not just because it's my business, That's all secondary to me, to be honest with you. How I can help other people feel the same way that I do is the primary. It's impact. And and most importantly, I use our technology on a regular basis. I'm doing sound lab sessions. I'm working with our partnership programs like Sound Self and Roxiva and BrainTap and all of these different technologies that harmonize and work really well with our technology. I use them personally because I need them and and I crave them and I love the way that they make me feel. And you can feel that passion when I'm at an event and I'm watching, like just beyond conference. It was Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of last year. We probably put 150, 200 people on our technology over the course of the weekend, watching their faces, hearing their laughter, watching them get off and just have this new vibration and this new outlook and this it lights me up. It's like the greatest gift that the world can actually give me right back is this reflection of how incredible this technology is, the impact that it has on your physiology and the power of sound and vibration in full effect. It's awesome to watch.
So can you follow up with that about what actually are the benefits to the physiology and to, to the body?
Absolutely. So I think you mentioned this before. And it's about nervous system regulation, which wasn't even a term a year ago. But it's something that happens to be trending right now. Nervous system regulation. What does that mean? It means re-regulating your nervous system. What does that mean? It means keeping you in a parasympathetic nervous system response versus a sympathetic nervous system response. And let's dive into that. So think of you have two nervous system responses. This is quite literally how your body keeps itself safe. Um, Sympathetic nervous system response, which is associated with stress and anxiety. It's also associated with what I call survival mode. And that's the best way, I think, to list and explain the sympathetic nervous system response. And then you have the parasympathetic nervous system response, which I call maintenance mode. It's associated with rest and digest, being calm and relaxed. So you're in either of these two spaces or in transition from one to the other based on different chemical cascades and different things that are happening in the body. And your autonomic nervous system, which manages your heartbeat and breath and all the things that are happening in the background to keep you alive. Your nervous system is also looking out for threats. It's constantly looking for ways and things that could impact your own survivability of your vessel, of your body. And this is such a funny topic now because so many of us live. I don't know what the rest of that home or office that you're in looks like, but I would assume it's quite tranquil, beautiful, safe. Uh, Aside from maybe a child running around and screaming, there's probably no life-threatening scenarios that are happening at your home. And for many of us, that is the case, right? We live a very safe lifestyle. When the doorbell rings, it's usually an Amazon package, not somebody trying to break into my house, right? Especially when you live out in the country, and we live pretty safe lifestyles. However, your nervous system is still looking for threats like it was conditioned to do 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, when you were sleeping in a cave. And it was a very real threat that a lion or a tiger, or I don't know, it depends on where you are in the world, a bear or a wolf would come and take you out as dinner, right? You're very vulnerable when you're sleeping. But now I sleep in a temperature controlled bedroom with frequencies playing in the background and it's blacked out dark and right, like all these different things. But your nervous system is still looking for threats. Your sympathetic nervous system response is still actively looking for threats through your nervous system, through your sight, your sense of hearing, your sense of touch, your sense of smell, your sense of taste. And that's quite literally how you perceive the world around you. So sometimes that sympathetic nervous system response gets triggered to a life-threatening scenario that isn't actually life-threatening, and others that are perceived as life-threatening. So your body has one response to stress. That's the sympathetic nervous system response, aka survival mode. And we're meant to be in that for short periods of time when we have to deal with a life-threatening scenario, an actual life-threatening scenario. However, reading an email, sitting in your bed from a job you don't like and a boss you can't stand, it's not really life-threatening. Now, Reading a text message that you've been let go or the company is downsizing, that could be perceived as life-threatening. You just lost your finances. You just lost your way to put food on your table, to keep a roof over your head. That's associated with survivability. But for the most part, the nervous system gets triggered for physical, emotional, mental, relational, nutritional, financial, all these different stressors that we're constantly being thrown at. And your nervous system really hasn't caught up with the world that we live in today. Any of those stressors come in and you immediately go into fight or flight. You immediately go into survival mode. And sound and vibration is a tool that you can use to move back into that parasympathetic or that rest and digest or that maintenance mode. And here's the important kicker. I've just outlined kind of how we kick into that sympathetic nervous system response. By the way, too many of us, myself included, are in fight or flight or survival mode from the moment we wake up until the moment we go to bed, every single day, day after day, week after week, month after month. And here's the kicker. Stress and anxiety is the underlying cause and influence that further exacerbates 6 out of the 10 reasons why Americans die from all-cause mortality today. You remove the stress and anxiety, you remove the chronic stress and anxiety day after day, week after week, month after month, and those reasons for death go away. It's that fundamental and foundational. We need to find ways that we can spend more time in that parasympathetic nervous system response, aka maintenance mode. And here's why. When your body is in sympathetic, when your body is in that stress response, it has a different set of priorities for the body. You're not maintaining yourself, you're surviving. And for a short period of time, when the adrenaline is flowing, when the cortisol is at its peak, and by the way, cortisol is great, stress is great. I'm not saying let's remove the stress. Stress is a good thing. I want us to respond to a stressor and then go back into maintenance mode. Because when you're in maintenance mode, your body is taking care of the body the way it's so eloquently and beautifully designed to do it. It's killing off dead cells. It's running ATP. It's dealing with detox pathways. It's doing all the things that it needs to do without getting backed up. By contrast, when you're in that sympathetic nervous system response, your body has a different set of priorities. So what are those priorities? So if you are in a life-threatening scenario, how much of your energy do you want to apply to save your own life? Give me a percentage out of 100%. How much of your energy would you want to apply towards that life-threatening scenario?
Maybe 100.
100%. Absolutely, right? I want all hands on deck. Let's deal with this, because if we don't, if we're nonchalant about it, if we're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, and this life ends, doesn't matter the maintenance mode anymore. It doesn't matter because the vessel's not there. And of course, your nervous system knows that. Okay. So it's all hands on deck while we deal with the sympathetic nervous system response and we deal with the issues that we're having at hand. What happens when all hands are on deck and all of your energy is being pointed towards that? Well, the adrenaline starts to flow. That shifts energy from organs and maintenance mode into the muscle groups of the body. So you can fight or you can run. They don't call it fight or flight for nothing. That's exactly why it's called fight or flight. The second thing is it begins to divert energy from your brain. Your brain uses, on a normal day, your brain uses 20% of your total energy output. That's an expensive resource and a very valuable one, right? The supercomputer that is your brain. So when you go into fight or flight, when you go into that sympathetic nervous system response, your nervous system actually starts to shut down different aspects of your brain, including rational thinking, which is remarkable to me. So you don't need to think rationally. You need to stay hyper-focused on whatever that issue is, and it starts to shut down and remove blood flow from the prefrontal cortex, from all different parts of the brain. You keep your motor skills, right? So you can stay focused on that. Digestion is the second most expensive energetic resource in the body over the course of a normal day. The body can shut that down too, to divert that energy. You don't need to digest food. Whatever energy I have stored in my body, the adrenaline is going to handle whatever my energetic need is for that sprint, which is what it's designed for, right? For that sprint. It can turn off your reproductive organs. It can turn off your immune system. Again, the body and the nervous system says, hey, all hands on deck, divert energy. You're no longer maintaining your body like you are when you're in parasympathetic, when you're in that sympathetic nervous system response. And think of all the chronic ailments and issues. Think about how many people are dealing with digestive issues, reproductive issues, immunity issues, mental capacity and knowledge issues. And it all comes back, in some cases, to a dysregulated nervous system. What does that mean? That simply means that your nervous system is being triggered for life-threatening issues and scenarios that are not life-threatening. And you're staying there day after day, week after week, month after month. And sound and vibration is a really powerful tool. And light is a really powerful tool to bring you back on, to bring that parasympathetic nervous system response back online. It's an external trigger to an internal process that kicks into chemical cascades associated with a parasympathetic nervous system response, keeping you calm and relaxed, getting you back. Now, I can't change the world around you, but I can change the way you perceive the world around you. And as you start to think about and perceive and reflect upon the triggers that brought you into that sympathetic nervous system response, you can recondition your nervous system to stay in parasympathetic longer so that you can stay in maintenance mode more often, so that your body can perform the way it was so eloquently and beautifully designed to perform, with better mental capacity, a stronger immune system, better digestion, better reproductive possibilities, all these different things. If you're stressed and anxious and you're in that sympathetic nervous system response all day long, day after day, week after week, month after month, of course you're going to develop chronic ailments and issues. It's just how the human body is designed. This is the crux of what we do. This is the crux of my mission on this earth, is to teach people about what chronic stress actually does to the body and how we can mitigate that using sound and vibration, which is an external stimuli, the signal. We give your body the signal to relax. And we do that in a passive, feel good, wonderful way by simply recognizing that you're stressed and anxious, or doing it regularly. Like when I first got my access to this technology, I was on it 3 times a day, 7 days a week. I just woke up, I got on it, I was in it at lunchtime, and I was on it at night, just to re-regulate my nervous system and use it on a regular basis. You can't overdo it. And now I'm probably on it 5, 6 times a week, but I'm listening to frequencies on a regular basis. I'm listening to music on a regular basis. And of course, I'm immersed in the science of what we do. Short story long, that's what we talk about. And that's the power of sound and vibration. So you lay down on this bed. There's an amplifier that's sitting. You can kind of see the bottom of it. You open up our music meditations app, which has 257 music meditations in it. You choose one, you push play. It doesn't matter which one. They all do a lot of the same things. You close your eyes for 22 minutes. You lose yourself in the music. You wake up feeling like $1 million. It's just that simple. With a calm and relaxed nervous system, you feel like and know that you can take on the world. With a dysregulated, triggered immune system and sympathetic, you feel stressed, you feel anxious, you can't think straight because of what's literally happening in your brain. And
So do you take people into your office, or do you sell the equipment to people?
It's a great question. So I am a certified vibroacoustic therapy practitioner, which just means I'm trained through the lineage of a gentleman by the name of Olav Skill that has been studying this since the mid-1970s. 55 years of science and research goes into what we're doing, 50 years. I have plenty of people that come by my house. I don't charge for my services. I do make and manufacture this technology, and I share it so that people can bring this into their own homes. We have, as I mentioned, 950 partners around the world. Many of them do make their technology available for sessions. Many of them do have them incorporated into different businesses, wellness centers, med spas, chiropractic offices, massage therapy, acupuncture, acupressure, you name it, recovery and addiction. We have a multitude of different people, hypnosis, NLP practitioners will use our technology. So there's about 50% of our clients are businesses around the world that are selling our service and our products as a service. And about 50% are individuals that bring it into their home for themselves, for their families, for their communities, and for the people around them. A ton of nonprofits use our technology, a ton of veteran affairs and therapists in that space. I mentioned alcohol and recovery, athletes, yoga and meditation. I mean, there's so many different applications. One of the big challenges that we have in growing this business. We've been doing this for 10 years. We're largely a leader in the business. And all I want to do is teach, train, and educate on the power of sound and vibration. And hopefully folks will adopt it and bring it home. But really, that's not my mission. My mission is to teach people about the power of sound and vibration. You can go to our YouTube channel, In Harmony Interactive, and you'll find 11-hour music meditations that you can play and stream for free. You'll find our app, which is $8 a month, which is you get a free 14-day trial, full feature, all of our music meditations. You can try them and experience it. And I hope for $8 a month, people are like, hey, this music is going to help me with a set of headphones. We're listening to it through your phone. I'm on a mission to teach people and show people about the power of sound and vibration. You can go to my website right now, iaminharmony.com. You can look for the In Harmony locator. You can plug in your zip code and probably find a practitioner that's within an hour to 2 hours drive of where you live, anywhere in the country. Maybe not in New Hampshire, like down in Boston. And, I don't know how far you are. But, we have tech in Maine. We have tech in New Hampshire. We have tech in Vermont. We have tech in upstate New York. We have our technology all over the world. I feel very blessed to have the network of people. To your point before, if I have an event in New York, I've got a half a dozen to a dozen people in New York that are really ready, willing, and able to give their tech to the proliferation of what we do. It's really awesome.
That is. It's a lot more wide stream than I had thought it would be. So that's pretty incredible.
11,000 app users.
Wow.
I'm like blown away. I think that is.
There's such a need for it. There's such a need.
Yeah, there really is a need for it.
You definitely.
Indeed. And look, so many people that we know go to YouTube and stream frequencies. I leave it on.
I do.
Yeah, totally. Right? Absolutely. So we have a record label that makes music to drive the experience on our technology. And I said to Anthony one day, I'm like, Anthony, I'm listening to this. Let me see what the number is now, because I think it's absolutely interesting. I still listen to the same frequencies at night. They're not mine. I tried to shift my family to my own In Harmony frequencies, and it was Pavlov's dog is in full effect. We are trained and got 50 million views.
That's funny.
On this music meditation that I listen to. And it's 10 hours long. And I said to Anthony, like, who makes all of our music, I was like, Anthony, can we do like extended music meditations on YouTube? And he was like, sure, let me figure it out. And sure enough, we made 11-hour, 11-minute, 11-second music meditations that are available to stream online. It's actually really hard to get it nailed at 11.
11.
Yeah.
Really hard. Like some of them are 11-11-10 or 11-11-9 or 11-11-6. Like they're close, but like the intention is there.
I'll definitely be looking into it.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that. That's great.
Thank you for sharing all this information. It's fantastic and it's needed. Is there anything else you'd like our listeners to know about?
Yeah. I mean, I think the easiest is in this 12-year journey that I've been on to understand health and wellness. You don't know what you don't know until you know.
Mm-hmm.
And now you know. So take some steps to move in the right direction. Don't be overwhelmed. Don't put so much pressure on yourself that you have to change everything. You now learned about the power of sound and vibration. We all know music is medicine. I mean, that's right. It doesn't matter what music moves you. Your music is medicine. Hip hop, house music, reggae, whatever it is. We all know we drop into a zone in a flow state when we're listening to music. And the reason for that is because you are coordinating what you're feeling, what you're hearing, what you're seeing, and the environment that you're in. And when you start to stimulate multiple senses at once, that's when the magic starts to happen. So when you're laying on a bed and you're feeling the same frequencies that you're hearing and it's coordinated with light therapy, that's when a lot of the breakthroughs start to happen as far as drifting into a meditative state, which is nothing more than a slower brainwave state. Sleep and meditation is nothing more than a conscious perception of a slower brainwave state. And it's really important for us as humans to move in and out of these different brainwave states over the course of the day. And sound and vibration is a powerful trigger to help guide you into those deeper meditative states, even if you don't call it meditation. And I know that's a stimulating word for a lot of people, probably not on your channel, probably a lot of meditators that are listening, but sound and vibration is a profound way to guide the body into the depth of a meditative state. Say goodbye to a distracted mind, say hello to a relaxed existence was our tagline for years. And that's the power of sound and vibration to calm and relax the mind, the nervous system, and the human experience.
Great. It's great.
So
Well,
grateful. Thank you.
well, I have thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'm sure Laurie has too, and I'm sure our listeners have too. So please, listeners out there, if these are the kind of conversations that you want to hear, please let us know. Give us some of your input, and please press that subscribe button so that we can, even though that sounds so tacky, but that gets us out there and gets this word out there. And we really want to bring these conversations that I think are so important for the world to hear about. So anyway, it's been dynamite, Craig, to talk to you.
Yeah.
And so
Thank you.
Oh, good. I'm so glad you were on today. So anyway, so out there, I want everybody to just think about what is your intuition leading you to your next perfect step in this whole wild world. So again, thank you and goodbye for now.